Hello and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week in episode 50, our Nobilis catch up with an acquaintance at an awkward time. Hello and welcome. I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hi, I'm Drew, and I'll be playing Leorian Qatar, Viscount of Tempo, and Jarl of Revelry, aka right on the beat and life of the party.
I'm Robin, and I'll be playing Lissa Crate, the Maven of Mania and Malice.
And I'm Dez, and I will be playing Romnet, who wishes he could be secrets.
We all wish things.
Well, yes, dear listener, Romnet is a character played by Dez. How did you guess? Excellent, and thank you. Have we, do we think, any character stat growth, along with which, Romnet, you have an XP roll?
I do have an XP roll. Unusually close to my microphone.
You know, generally being close to your microphone, not a bad thing, so.
I mean, fair, but, there's close to the microphone.
There is.
That's how you need to sound from now on.
That was honestly quite
Oh, I just need to be very close to my microphone for you all.
big dog park energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Dog park.
Yeah.
That is a pair of 3s and a pair of 10s.
All right, well, it's...
What texture has my experience?
Yeah, let's see. This experience point is a, let's say, marble-sized felted orb of wool-like substance that is nevertheless cool to the touch. Anything else in terms of uses of XP this time?
The entertaining thing, Adam, is that once this campaign finishes, we're going to have to publish the list of textures of XP.
I think
just
that's
for
doable.
Everyone's entertainment and
I think you should get real close to the mic and read them all off. That's
Yeah.
Oh, is this going to be ASMR then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Light
but for
ASMR.
our patrons.
Exactly. At the
gonna say-
ASMR tier.
XPMR.
There it is.
Yes.
Yes.
And
As to spending of attributes. Yeah, no, go for it, Robin.
I do not think I'm going to be spending any points this time, though likely next time, because I do have 4 mortal experience points that are burning a hole in my experience wallet, as it were.
My experience wallet, if turned inside out, would have a little moth fly out of it and circle around a few times. I am tapped, so nothing for me this time.
Well, if you kill that moth, you get a quarter of an XP.
Oh no!
It's a AD&D
And you
joke.
cannot spend it on anything.
Yeah, exactly. So, I believe that brings us to our recap of last time, which this time is courtesy of Romnet.
So, we had returned to Bor and inducted Vruta into the Familia as Flare. We had a number of discussions thereafter, including books and Sealand's tactics and the nature of Imperators and Nobilis and distance from the throne between them. We, as an aside, witnessed and discussed Dusk's growing scatteredness as a result of his growing remit, as we had collected shards for him. Then we had a series of divinations, starting with Lissa looking into who was the first in this age to revel in their godhood, which she apparently experienced a vision of an entity named Mjoln, and came back with a fish-shaped piñata from which poured crystals that Lissa then smashed with her hammer. I recognize the name as being present in a very old play, but that similarly netted us little. I made an inquiry into how to murder desire, which resulted in a vision of the throne as both a mountain and a chair, with something hidden in or behind or below it that sought for me to crush it and realize over godhood rather than what I did, which was releasing it, and that destroyed it. So there was part of an answer, perhaps, if you cut away all of the obtuse metaphor and so on. Once everyone was present again and not celestially navel-gazing, we had more discussion of Sealand and the divide between her body and her agency, and the key to getting at her substance in order to destroy it, destroy her, hinged on our abilities to avoid her will, her emanation, and to get into her chancel, which should hopefully be somewhat more feasible now than when we first tried. Well, when I first tried. Sometime thereafter, a wild Tohill appeared, where followed a discussion of Bloodstone. And sometime around that point, Urian let slip that there was another lodger, and Truth appeared at the top of the stairs.
And that is where we left off, and it is also where we are picking up. So we're in the common room of Rowena and Urian's inn on the windswept high plain of Bor. The familia, or the parts of it that are present, plus Tohill, are in the common room, and Truth is on the stairs looking a little blinkered. Has not said anything, but has stopped on like the third step from the top of the stairs to blink at the assembled group at the table in the common room. And with that, we return it to our players here.
I say, Truth!
What brings you here?
Hi. He takes a step back up to the second step from the top of the stairs, and then realizes that's a little silly, looks sheepish, and starts walking slowly down the stairs. And he says, "Right, I guess I knew I was gonna run into you all here. I just I was coming to get breakfast. Time is strange." Urian, for his part, already has a bowl.
More generally, what brings you, an agent of Sealand, into Bor?
Oh, right. Well, there's a couple of answers there. I was sent out to, well, try to mess with you, but I came here to well, see what you would think about like if I switch teams.
If you will submit to Dusk's Red Tooth right, then I suspect we would have no particular compunctions there.
That sounds macabre. We would welcome you. I think you can sense that I
we have
bear
issues
no
with trust.
ill will towards you. However, I hope you can understand our surprise given that your current employer, for lack of a better phrase, recently killed a friend of ours.
Oh,
Yeah, I suppose, why are you looking to switch positions?
Well, you know, Celia, and he sort of like says it as though he expects her to show up. Is well, scary. She's scary.
Yeah, she is. We're hoping to do something about that. But I, for one, would welcome you. I've always felt like you were being used, and with us, you would have autonomy.
That does sound nice. He glances at Dosk, who of course is low on detail, but anybody going to glance at Dosk's sort of avatar presence here gets the vibe of extreme discomfort from him in this moment, and neither of them really says anything to one another. They just seem to regard each other, and then Truth sort of starts a little bit and goes, but I was able to get in here, basically to deliver something to you. As far as I know, it's benign. And he sort of pats around and then pulls out a sort of leather wrapped small flat parcel of the sort that like a courier might use to transport like official correspondence or diplomatic documents.
I get between
and
it
he
and
proceeds
Dusk
to come down the rest of the
anachronistically.
stairs in a sort of nervous shuffle, and then stand a couple of sort of like strides from your table, fidgeting with the parcel he carries.
I put myself between the parcel and Dusk, anachronistically like a Secret Service agent.
Mm-hmm.
And
I will relieve Truth of the parcel.
He looks relieved. She didn't tell me what was in it, but I don't think it's anything that's gonna be harmful. It's not. I don't think it's. I don't think the thing itself is a trick or a trap.
I step behind the bar and pour a glass of whatever I was drinking for Truth.
Is there any murderous intent or potential in this room other than me? That's a lesser divination.
Sure. There might be some coming off of Lissa, I guess.
That's my natural state.
Yeah, I will just sort of ping her murderous impulse if that's something I can do as a ghost miracle.
I suppose so. I'm not
I
entirely
set the
sure what that would
glass
be
down.
like.
Just as a, I see you.
Okay.
I set the bottle down with a little bit more force than I intended.
Urian, for his part, has delivered Truth's breakfast and comes bustling back behind the counter and it's like, well, you're certainly welcome to whatever you'd like. But I've got it. And he sort of scoops up the bottle and corks it and puts it back.
I nod to him before taking the glass with me from out behind the bar and holding it out to Truth as a one-sided toast because mine is already empty by this point.
Right, yeah, he sort of sheepishly answers and takes a little sip, and then sort of hunches into a little cough that he tries to suppress, and then holds the glass sort of like in two hands near his heart. Meanwhile, Ramnet, you are holding this sort of leather document carrier, and there's no indication that there is a problem with this object.
What does it look like under the sight?
Looks like a leather bundle around probably some paper or parchment.
Well,
I would go ahead and open it.
I think I open it. If that's all right with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you insist, I would suggest that Truth converse with our boss about employment, but given his current resume, I would suggest that even though it may be embarrassing or distasteful, the onboarding process not be sequestered.
Truth, for his part, just fidgets uncomfortably, and Dosk sort of sighs and says, "Well, guess I'm glad to hear you out. Shall we?" And Dosk gestures to an empty table a couple tables away and says, "Shall we chat?" And Truth sort of does that little like bobbing head nod that people who don't really want to say yes but are saying yes sometimes do. And the two of them withdraw. Any halfway interested listener would, of course, be able to eavesdrop. But in the meantime, Leorian, you have untied the sort of tethers on this bundle and unwrapped it. The first thing, go ahead.
If I may, as they walk off, I give Truth a little squeeze on the shoulder and a nod.
Oh, hang on. Let me make a quick roll here. When you squeeze his shoulder, he sort of flinches and then looks over at you and sees you and your nod, and he sort of like takes a deep breath and tries to square his shoulders, though it certainly doesn't come naturally to him, and gives you a quick nod back and then hurries over to the table where he and Dosk will converse. Leorian, you have unwrapped this little parcel, and as soon as the oiled leathers are like open, the first thing you notice is the perfume. It is a sort of mild floral bouquet wafting up gently from the package. Inside, creamy vellum has been folded and sealed in a purple wax that you have not really seen anyone else use. It must be fearsomely expensive. The seal that has been stamped into this wax is a symbol that you are familiar with. The sort of dramatis personae, the masks of tragedy and comedy, though they have in the very finely detailed seal that's been pressed in here cracks running through the both of them. The document itself is otherwise unadorned and hefty for what seems to be a sheet of vellum, either implying that it's wrapped around something or it's just very high quality vellum, or both.
I run my finger over the seal, and then I think I break it. I do that thing where you try to open it without breaking the seal, but one usually finds that impossible.
So you run your finger over it, and you realize with a start that it's not wax. It has the feel more of like a seashell. And as you run your thumb over it, it cracks and then crumbles. You unwrap the vellum, and indeed it is wrapped around a thin sheet of what is to Leorian an unfamiliar silvery metal, and it is just thick enough to sort of be rigid. Lissa, you sort of squint at this for a moment and then realize that this is a just comically absurd use of platinum. It seems pure. And it has been etched very, very finely with a sort of message. But it's hard to read from a distance, and Leorian, you are noticing that, yes, but the vellum that was wrapped around it, sort of in a thirds fold with the sides kind of bent down to encompass the metal, actually does have sort of a letter written on it. The letter reads, Familia Nil. You are cordially invited to the festivities at Tintern. Please arrive when you'd like. Dress code is whatever you'd like it to be, and you are welcome to stay for as long as you wish. Present the enclosed invitation, and you will be admitted. And then at the bottom it says, Best wishes, Celiand. The enclosed plate of platinum is engraved with the formal language of the invitation.
Can I...
It is the most tragic use of the forge I've ever seen.
Can I perform a lesser divination to tell what kind of party this really is? What is the intent of revelry here? What is the flavor? From a range of it's not really a party at all to it's whatever else it is, the revelry is sincere.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So you're using a lesser divination here?
Yes.
Entirely reasonable. The process of this divination is not unlike looking into the distance for something that you know will be there and trying to kind of squint at it. What you perceive of this revel is that it began very, very long ago. It does not seem to have an end that you can perceive in the future. And it gives you the impression of very refined society, very cultured revelry, which also sort of has sort of the iron and copper tang of blood on your tongue, so to speak, because the upper echelons never let a revel pass without trying to make use of it. Only this one has been going on and on and on and on.
I convey this, that it's a highfalutin affair, that it is something like eternal, and that it may be, in some ways, perhaps more of Romnet's domain than mine, or at least a perfect overlap of the two.
Why waste a good opportunity?
They have no problem wasting whatever this metal is.
Oh, the medal was a message, as well as everything else.
I'm still scowling at the platinum and unconsciously fiddling with Electo.
And that is the desired reaction. I'm sure that you could find a better use for this. Perhaps that could be its own response.
I could.
What developments at the other table, Adam?
When you look over, Dusk and Truth are sort of both resting elbows on the table, not perfectly across from each other, but they're just sort of looking at one another. Truth looks as glum as ever, and Dusk, well, it's hard to read Dusk.
Now that our attention is no longer divided, can we hear what they're saying?
They're not speaking, unfortunately. They are simply regarding one another across the table.
So we can hear the silence loudly.
Mm-hmm. Tuhil, for his part, has sort of observed all of this while he polishes off his breakfast, and sort of setting down his bowl and standing up straight on his chair. He says, "Well, I assume that this invitation is not inclusive of me, but, well, I do not envy you the invite, the inclusion in the event. If it is permissible, I shall rest here and recuperate some of my power and then see where I may be of use. If there is anything in particular that you would have of me while you undertake the next leg of your own tasks, well, you know where to find me."
Of course. Thank you for your assistance. I wish you a swift recovery.
I nod before once again gesturing to the platinum, like, are you fucking seeing this?
Tuhil is a bat and does not have human expressions, but he nevertheless manages to eloquently in his tone convey a roll of the eyes. He says, "Yes, you would not have seen any such thing in Zalaban's realm."
But do you
You could turn it into a killer paper airplane.
do we have those? I was honestly leaning more towards and always, like, Liza's not saying this out loud, but I was leaning more towards a fish pinata.
It's a hell of a pinata. I guess for the divine.
Very small.
Yeah, very small replica of the fish pinata.
Sure.
So like a charm of a fish pinata.
Mm-hmm.
A little fish pinata with 2 Jolly Ranchers in it.
Mm-hmm. I do look to Tuhil and say, what do you think would be a better form for this that would in fact relay a message?
You mean, how would I have sent such an invitation, or what should you do with the material now that you have it?
What should I do with the material?
I suppose that depends entirely upon whether you intend on presenting it for entrance or not, but if you have no use for it, he sort of cocks his head in an extraordinarily adorable way as he sort of hooks his wings back across himself, sort of collecting himself. He sort of regards it for a moment, and then he says, "This quantity of platinum of this purity is uncommon in one place. I think that a sufficiently talented metalworker could fashion it into an extremely pleasing abstract pendant or brooch."
Yes, I think I've could make something lovely out of this.
It is my opinion that when such things are removed from the embrace of the earth, they should indeed be made beautiful and, moreover, expressive. But there are perhaps many uses for such a thing. He gives a little bit of like a wiggle that you interpret as a shrug, and says, "It will probably not surprise you that I've done very little metalworking in my own life."
But you have the eye for it, and a good sense of what this type of material should be used for.
He sort of
plain paper.
Sighs as he says this. He says, "Some, but nothing like Thoralda had. Mostly I've picked it up from them."
Well, I wish I could consult them or their domain.
He bobs his head, says, "As do I. But the best we can do now is to, well, try to make things as right as we can, I suppose." He sort of says this as he kind of waddles over to the edge of the chair, and then sort of turns and like drops down and grips the edge of the chair and lets himself down to the floor, claps his wings back up, and then kind of waddles forward towards the stairs, and kind of says over his shoulder, "I trust that you will make good use of it however you choose to employ it. You have a good eye for these things, better than mine. In the meantime, my power is low, and I should collect myself." He shoots a probably meaningful glance, it's hard to tell with a bat face, at Truth, where Truth and Dosk seem to be continuing their not staring contest, because they are doing their best.
What does their technically not colloquy look like under the sight?
It looks like a Nobilis with a decent spirit score, and Dosk the Imperator studiously avoiding looking like they're studying one another while they study one another. There is a little bit of activity in the sight, but in the sense of like they're looking at each other both mundanely and through the sight, and doing like little sensory pings of trying to sort of take the measure of one another in this way, but nothing too active. And they both seem to be extraordinarily awkward about it.
Par of the course.
Quite. With that, Toheel makes his way sort of waddling on his hind feet to the bottom of the stairs, and then unclasps his wings and does that little like quadrupedal crawl that bats kind of do on walls, but like up the stairs.
This is just an attack on Robin.
Robin is feasting.
Prior to the actual departure, I give a look of gratitude and a bow, as close as I've probably come to one in a hot minute. So it's a clumsy, if not genuine, gesture.
Mm-hmm. For his part, he is not built to bow in return, but he gives you what's the word I'm looking for here? A dignified nod of the head as he turns, which again is out of place but very adorable on a bat.
So targeted.
Look, I didn't come up with him to target you, but once your reactions to him were well known, it was kind of hard to avoid embellishment. And I do like to point out the ways in which Toheel is inhuman while imagining a scene.
It's very it's not that I'm angry about being targeted.
So Tohil is retired. Robin is dead in real life.
Slaying of the cute. I would go no other way.
Indeed.
Just so. So, yes, you now have on the table before you this vellum invitation, perfumed and just incredibly luxurious. And then you also have the platinum invitation, and you also have Truth and Dusk seemingly trying to decide how they should proceed a couple tables over.
I'm going to take the platinum and do a couple of divinations on it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Michelangelo in this world. But there is Varric, who once told me that what he was doing was actually freeing the form of what the material desired to be. So my divinations are all going to be fury.
Okay.
First, to sense if there is any fury at being misused, so by any tutelary spirits or the material itself.
Mm-hmm. So this actually reveals something kind of interesting. This material is, to all appearances, mundane and divine, mundanely platinum. But the tutelary spirits are strangely inert. And it takes you a moment to puzzle out what you think happened here. This seems to have been created via a realm miracle. This platinum was never in the earth.
I am going to do a creation of fury and the tutelary spirits with the intention of making them realize they should not be inert and mad about that.
Okay.
So functionally, you are creating tutelary spirits.
Yeah, but also like giving them a sense of what their origin should have been had it not been wrested from them.
Yeah, you get sort of a flare of combined fury and confusion that you can feel the invitation kind of quiver for a moment, and then they kind of run up against the edges of what their nature allows them to do. Metal that has not been heated is not supposed to move. It is not supposed to do any particular thing. And so they seem to be more active, more, shall we even say, aware compared to how they were before. A little bit more like natural platinum, but they don't seem to know what to do with that or be able to do it. It's, tutelary spirit psychology is it's not obscure or complex.
You may be the first to investigate it.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to do a deep dive into this.
It is certainly, it has fewer levers and more limits than human psychology, shall we say.
Yeah. So they run up against the limits of what they feel they are supposed to do. Is that what I'm understanding?
I mean, it's sort of like, they have this energy, but they don't have a whole lot of sophisticated thought processes, and they are still bound by like being metal, right? They are bound by its properties. And so they are sort of like, I don't know, if you convinced the sardines in a can to mosh, there would be relatively little that would actually change inside the can.
Yeah. So,
but now that sounds like an aspiration.
It really does, honestly. Are there canned goods in this world? Can I do a creation of fury and create a canned mosh pit?
There's a lot more pickling.
You might have to work with Leorian on this for the tempo.
Yeah. So I can do major divinations for free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is ask if these... I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question. I want to know this little flare of fury that I feel, forgetting what it is supposed to be. What would they prefer to be? If their fury could cause them to become productive, what form would that shape take? There's the question.
Interesting. Huh.
Or if their fury could inspire them to defy their nature, what form would they take?
So something that tutelary spirits don't have is an imagination. They don't really, they can't really speculate in exactly that way. But
can I provide some ghost miracles to give them examples?
What I was gonna say is that they do sort of respond in a sort of in a sort of microbe responding to environmental stimuli sense of the word, to both the ideas of being useful and being, shall we say, changed from time to time. Those seem to be the resonant ideas. Though, again, even with examples from Ghost Miracles, they aren't really able to conceptualize anything on their own.
Okay.
What is clear from your investigations is that if you are to take this sort of inchoate desire in any particular direction other than the one that they're in, it will mean that you no longer possess your invitation. You will possess something else made of platinum.
I don't think the invitation itself is the concern here. We would be
we have the vellum.
True, but it instructs you to present the invitation in order to gain entry. Like, that is explicit in the invitation.
The question is whether we want to obtain entry within the rules, even temporarily, or whether our initial impulse to, tell them where they can stick this particular piece of platinum, which of those two desires is stronger?
Oh, that gives me an idea of how it could be useful.
We're so used to functioning on metaphor around here.
Is there enough material for a flared base?
No, there is not.
Running into some safety issues then, yeah.
Yeah. That becomes certainly less functional and useful and more of a hazard at that point. Albeit one that might have desirable outcomes based on the intended user.
It is not like this is the whole world's supply of platinum, but it is certainly the supply of platinum that you currently have.
Yeah. So someone else take the reins while I pontificate what I want to do.
Sure. Well,
because my first thought was that it's possible to maintain the appearance of like the etching and whatnot and make it deformed in areas by the heating and annealing process, but keeping the invitation while also making something that is more befitting of the material out of it.
But it could still be engraved, but be something functional. So it's not this useless sheet of
But I want it to be functional, so that kind of defies the whole
being an invitation. So you want it to be functional as something other than a token that is like also
a brooch,
a show of power and excess.
Yeah, I don't think we have any. I guess it could technically be turned into not a fountain pen because we won't have those, but a dip pen. Those are typically made of glass, but they can be.
Because glass is honestly kind of cheap, particularly by comparison to fucking platinum.
Yeah.
I mean, less so in the Bronze Age, but yeah, point taken.
But it would be still useful and still have the text. Because it wouldn't require as much bending and shaping, it could theoretically still have that. Okay. I have an idea.
So, Tohil has retreated. Lissa has investigated this invitation. Dusk and Truth are stewing in their inherent awkwardness, it would seem.
If this works out, he's going to fit in just fine.
I will call over and ask if they need a facilitator for their discussion.
Both have the almost identical reaction of kind of giving a little start and trying to suppress it. And then almost in unison, they look over at you. And Dusk,
I am smirking,
sort of does the anime rub at the back of his head kind of thing, and goes, well, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea. I mean, the essential problem is that Truth here understandably doesn't really want his heart eaten, and I think equally understandably don't really want to eat his heart, but we can't have any sort of trust between us until that happens. And Truth speaks up and goes, right, I also cease to be incredibly useful if I'm severed from Celiand, which I understand maybe still being for the best, but it is, irreversible to my knowledge. So
I'm sure that she could eat your heart too.
Mm-hmm. Bend your will.
You said she was scary.
But well, typically hearts once eaten are no longer present. He sort of
I mean, sure, on the one hand, particularly for mortals.
Yeah, the word typically is doing some work in that sentence.
You're not wrong.
The other notable feature of, I say, having undergone it, the red tooth rite as applied to imparators consuming Nobilis is that they get to pick the form of what surrounds the consumed shard, and Dusk does tend to leave us more or less functionally intact relative to our prior memories of being someone else's employee. After all, your boss ensured that our erstwhile boss wasn't. And that has its own health complications.
Truth looks thoughtful but doesn't say anything much.
If you are concerned about losing any of your, I guess, experience or emotions or feelings or your you-ness without your heart, hopefully you can see enough of who Ramen and I once were to know that's not the case of what can come from the right when it's performed by someone with good intentions.
You've met them before, and we're the after.
Truth cut.
Also, it's worth noting that if you are suggesting that you betray betrayal, you understand how that folds back upon itself.
Yeah, as you're talking, he's looking sort of thoughtful, nodding his head, and then you bring up betraying betrayal, and he sort of looks a little spooked. And Dusk sort of chimes in and says, I also brought up that, well, it's not impossible that despite our scrutiny with the site, this might also be some sort of poison pill operation by Celiand. I don't know exactly what she's capable of, and I'm not sure I want to take the risk.
I mean, you'd think that if anyone could prove themselves sincere.
Well, sincerity and truth are very different things.
This has never occurred to me before.
I will pat Leorian on the head.
Well, if you were to confirm that it wasn't through a miracle, technically speaking, the preservation of the truth of it not being a poison pill should make less of a signature than a destruction of truth.
Alternatively, you could consent to a greater destruction of murder, if there be any on, about, or in you. It would not remove all possibilities, but...
Yeah, Truth sort of is looking to one side and nods a little bit, and he says, well, also, I hadn't brought it up yet. It wasn't super relevant, but he sort of gestures towards the invitation. He says, I'm probably supposed to show you where to go use that. I mean, Boar's honestly really convenient that it can be accessed so broadly, but, well, Tintern really only has one entrance, and I don't know if I can find it if I'm no longer her Nobilis. Maybe, but...
Is it a metaphorical entrance, or is it a single physical point?
Both, I think.
I may be able to compensate for that, if you can recall the geography.
He nods, says, Probably. Yes, no, probably. It's a ways, though?
We've traveled further. The main thing that we would like to provide for you is an opportunity to not be under a thumb.
Well, we'll provide for you autonomy. Mm-hmm. We will require from you that you are neither an agent nor a tool of betrayal. That being the central concern here.
Is that the poison pill? That...
Of course it is.
Betrayal and all, sure. I guess you could lie sincerely in a certain sense.
I will smile. If I had a gold star, Leorian, I would give it to you. And you probably can't tell whether or not I'm lying.
The fun thing...
Truth can, but that's never mine.
The fun thing about you saying that is that it has an entirely different meaning in the context of Taraxis than it does in the context of modernity.
Where I'm from, some people will say things like, oh, bless you, and they don't mean it as a compliment.
Truth murmurs, audibly but seemingly to himself. You'd be surprised what people can be sincere about.
Well, I suppose this almost settles it. If we don't need you to be tied to betrayal in order for us to attend the party, should we decide we want to attend the party, and if we can assure you as much as you can be assured that you'll still be you, then I think the remaining question is, I mean, you said she's scary. Are you more scared of what is, or what could be.
Truth looks directly at you, possibly for the first time since you've seen him today. And he says, with the perfect appearance of sincerity, says, I'm frightened of both. They're both. Sometimes I wish it would just stop. And then his eyes sort of drop to the floor and he sags back in his chair and starts kind of fiddling his thumbs. And then says with a little more force, but no, not looking at anybody, I don't really think it would even be right for me to saddle your familia with something like me. But
qualify what you mean there.
Still sort of looking at his own thumbs, he says, it's been a while, but I do remember my mortal life, parts of it, lots of it. I've never really been much good to anyone, and, well, it's honestly pretty risky to take me on, isn't it? So, I don't really think that you should. It's pretty selfish of me to ask, honestly. But,
I'm going to stop you right there. As someone who has been told that I'm also useless to everyone around me for much of my life. You are someone to us. What matters to us isn't your use. What matters is that you're well and you're able to be you. I think the choice that you have ahead of you is whether you would rather be part of something maintaining the status quo or join a force that may stand to stop it. That is your choice to make.
Sort of hustle laugh, and he says, one of the choices that gets taken away from us as Nobilis is the choice to opt out. He sort of sighs and looks at the ceiling and says, well, if Dosk is willing, I think I would like to join you, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to use me as a conveyance to Tintern before you make that decision. It's up to you, I suppose. I don't know that I'll be able to get you in if I'm no longer hers, but, maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe I can still try. He sort of leans forward, rests his elbows on his knees, and
I think if you can get us to the geography, we can worry about the rest.
Well, I think if we're going to be a family, and if we're going to win, we're going to do it as us, not as tools of anybody's.
Would you consent to my applying a destruction of murder on and about you?
Let me stop you there. Do those grow back? Because we might need them to, later.
I'm not. This is more tools and trapping.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Didn't
mean to interrupt. Sure.
Truth gives sort of a lopsided smile and says, yeah, no, that's fine.
I will reach into his Octoritas and first do a divination of murder on the order of, is there murderous intent here?
You have never encountered another human with less murder in their soul.
I'm glad we're adopting him.
And is there anything else on or about him that might qualify there?
You... Actually, The thing is, I've been percolating this possibility while we were talking, and I still haven't come to a solid conclusion. So I'm going to give myself the opportunity to foist a roll upon you. Roll sense plus eerie 8 dice, and there is a difficulty assessed. So there's a minimum necessary success.
Okay. So it is looking like... Okay. So we're ignoring the pair of 2s and instead going with the 3 10s.
Ooh.
3 10s, quite nice. So it's not exactly your estate, but it is certainly detectable with your estate. There is, in the map of who and what truth is to your divination of murder, no murderous intent, but a non-zero amount of bloodstain and attached to that modicum, there is a tremendous store of guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most salient thing for your divination is that there does not appear to be any murder laid upon truth from outside. There
Just
is
the nature of truth.
Some knowledge is its own price.
Mm-hmm. There is that stained quality, and there is sort of a broad feeling of the possibility for the sinister. You get the
he'll fit
feeling
right
that he has been used perhaps as an instrument of murder in the past, could be used for such again.
Mm-hmm.
But if he is a weapon, you do not sense a finger on the trigger to be anachronistic.
Then I will just do a lesser rather than a greater destruction of murder here.
Okay.
Just sort of broad spectrum, but limited to between now and when he gets his heart at.
Yeah. And you feel that what has happened here, metaphorically, is sort of the equivalent of dulling the edge of a knife still in its block. It could be used for violence, but the precaution is ahead of that intent. Truth, for his part, doesn't seem to detect anything in particular. He has been steadily regarding his thumbs as they sort of play back and forth over one another and then stop and do it in reverse order over and over again.
I will pat him on the shoulder. Looks like you're all right.
He sort of snorts a laugh and says,
to the degree that any of us are all right.
Yeah, first time for everything, right? Gives you a shaky grin.
Just for paranoia's sake, I would like to, if not me, then at least somebody should be in the room with you when it happens, Dusk.
I can also offer furious joy that might make it easier.
Truth and Dusk speak at almost the exact same time and don't use quite the same words, but I'll go with Truth's version here. And he says, I don't really want Joy to be any part of this.
How about it just seems fast?
Dosk then says, honestly, I'd take that.
Well, there you are. That's the most truthful way to approach it, right? Whatever it is, but it comes and goes as quickly as it can.
You can have my, if not joy, then you can have my hand to squeeze or hold as need be. Or my company not at all, if that is what you desire, but we are here for you.
Truth nods and Dosk goes, well, I suppose let's get maybe Urian to head to the back room, and I don't know, you four. Fruta is here. He's been actually observing and scribbling in like a notebook.
Nothing awkward about that at all.
No, super conspicuous. Actually, that he's been quiet here. He's been deliberately kind of absenting himself from.
What is he scribbling with, out of curiosity?
Was he scribbling with?
Yeah.
He has a sort of charcoal core with some like sort of inserted into a reed. That he is using to write.
Does he need a new writing implement? Is that what you're inquiring, Robin?
I was just curious. I did not. I am holding on to an idea right now, and we'll see if I have the opportunity to tastefully enact it.
Okay. Fountain pens are the classic bar mitzvah present, but those don't exist yet. So,
what are
fountain pens?
Fountain pens.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually been deliberately sort of quiet and obscure presence in all of this. But Dosk, sort of gesturing to you, his nobilis who are present, says, yeah, I guess I'd appreciate it if you'd be present at a slight remove, able to jump in if necessary for whatever reason. He sort of, shoots a glance at Truth and says, but, well, there's no way it's not going to be awkward. And he chuckles, and Truth nods solemnly.
Family is awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Dosk sort of looks at the ceiling and goes, yeah.
I give him a very empathetic look that recalls the fact that two of our family members are sharing space. And more.
Space, yes.
Yeah, space being the least of it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space between them in some circumstances, but we're not going to go there.
Sure, yeah.
Wink.
And then God ate his heart. We all saw that it was good.
Well, the fun thing about that is that for a long count of 3, Truth studiously looks at the floor between his feet, and Dosk remains looking at the ceiling. Both sort of aware of the next thing that's going to happen, and neither willing to be the first to initiate it.
I cannot make them proceed, but this interminable pause and the thing that must inevitably come after it, or not inevitably, but necessarily, all of that will seem to pass much more quickly than in fact it does to all involved.
That is a mercy. You are merciful.
You are unpregnanting their pause?
That would be an aborted pause, I believe.
Yeah. I am.
That's illegal in at least 16 states now.
Yeah, well, this is a campaign about overturning the order, so yes, the pause is hereby aborted.
Okay, look, despite my gesture just now, that was me taking a quick TO, but this is the sort of thing that I absolutely love about this podcast and this group.
That we abort pauses?
Just the directions in which you will take things that have no particular
bearing on reality.
Well, I was gonna say like intrinsic direction. The idea of a pregnant pause is so old as to be inert, right, as a linguistic construct, and yet here we are.
We drag it out into the open and make it mean something.
Absolutely.
Fresh.
I love that. As we say at the end of every episode, subtlety is for cowards, and here we are. Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Sometimes I play as idiots, but I don't play as cowards generally.
Absolutely not. Which reminds me how much I'm looking forward to getting back to our little meat punk stallions.
Yeah, should be good stuff. I have plans.
So in any case, Leorian aborts their pause, and finally Dosk sighs and looks over at Truth and goes, all right, I mean, how do you, I guess, lay down on the table? Makes it a question. And Truth sort of nods a little bit and goes, I don't really have another shirt, so he starts to unbutton. I guess they're actually toggles on his shirt. Untoggle his shirt, and very carefully sort of drapes it over the back of his chair. Anyone who would like to can note how well formed his chest and biceps are once uncovered by the shirt. He is a solid man.
I whistle, but give a cheeky grin to make it more of like a trying to line in the movement, even though it was going to be unsuccessful. The attempt is there.
I am going to make you roll for that because I am the cruelest person ever to have lived. Let's roll a Charm Fascinate, which is 5 plus a master die for you.
Yay. That is going to be 2 9s.
2 9s, most excellent.
I am also going to just elevator eyes.
So, in response to all of this, Truth gives a sort of small but sincere smile, but also blushes from his hairline down to his nipples.
Do you need me to roll anything out?
I do not.
Some things come naturally.
Well, and for the record, he is a little distracted by Lissa's more attention-grabbing attention.
Fair. I just finally would have been able to get a die on a roll for indulging my craving.
True. We will have to wait for a more opportune moment, I suppose.
Oh, indeed.
So, having taken off his shirt, having blushed mightily, Truth awkwardly climbs onto the table he and Dosk were sitting around and lays down on his back, seeming to be unsure of what to do with his hands. He settles for keeping them at his sides, clenched into tight fists. Dosk stands up with a resigned and gusty sigh and moves to the side. He puts a hand on Truth's abdomen and says, "Look, I'm sorry, but there's no way not to make this hurt at least a little bit. But hopefully, well," he glances at Leorian, "hopefully it'll be over soon."
Oh, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the realm currently.
We are in the realm currently.
So I could do miracles that are not related to my...
Correct.
And I happen to be on very good terms with the Fair Lady of Sensation.
You do?
So upon hearing this, there's a visible Tyroxan version of a light bulb that flickers on.
An oil lamp sparks to life over your head.
Yeah. And I perk up and say, but perhaps I can if I do a miracle of... Oh, that's going to be costly. Sensation. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to spend all of my realm miracle points
Mm-hmm.
on a lesser destruction of sensation. But I'm going to give voice to... I'm going to remove the sensation of what's about ready to happen if I have your permission, Truth.
He chuckles nervously. Anything you can do to help? Yeah. Thank you.
Then I go through with it.
All right. That'll be 4 realm miracle points already knocked off your sheet. Thank you. And Dosk takes a deep breath and radiates discomfort from his scribbly silhouette in a way that his expressions cannot convey in this form. And then as you watch, he brings both hands to Truth's sternum and pries apart the ribs over his heart. The sound is, well, I guess it's a little bit humorous to say god-awful. And the sight involves just a mess. You catch a glimpse of Truth's heart beating in his chest, although Truth, for his part, looks, well, up for him is at the stairs at this point. So he studies the stairs intently, seeming to be not super affected by the sensation of what is happening, thanks to Lys's realm miracle. And after just a moment's pause to take a deep breath, Dosk reaches into the aperture he's created and tugs sharply, pulling the heart out in a spray of blood, and crams it into his face as quick as he can, with, sort of animal eating sounds.
Honestly, the noises there were the worst part of that whole description, Adam. Well done.
That's very
that
impressive.
was my intent. And you can actually see the blood sort of flowing down the negative space sketch of Dosk's chin and onto his neck and collarbone. Amusingly, you can only tell that he's wearing any clothes because of how the blood soaks into the collar of the shirt that he is, quote unquote, wearing in this form. And the animalistic devouring noises are interspersed 2 or 3 times with suppressed retching noises as Dosk chokes down Truth's heart.
I've done this before, however, watching it happen to someone else is very different from being an actual actor in the situation. So whoever is standing nearest to me, whether that is Romnet or Leorian or some combination of there, and suddenly has a firm hand on their shoulder that is bearing not an insignificant amount of weight.
Certainly, I'm going to rule that that's Leorian.
I start at the presence of the hand, but then do my best to be a steady support.
Yeah. So, in probably 90 seconds or so, this is, well, more or less over. Dosk is wiping his mouth and desperately clenching down on his nausea. Truth is mostly insensate as of this. Dosk, for his part, sort of turns to face his other Nobilis here, and his, sort of bearing drifts to Vruta, and he sort of says, well, that was a tipping point. I'm going to be asleep for and then he sort of crumples in his chair and starts snoring softly.
He's digesting.
We should probably move him. Do gods still use a bed? Are you okay, Truth? But do gods need a bed?
Truth is unconscious.
I think that
that's good.
Dusk needs a bed conceptually, whether or not he needs one physically.
I mean, like, if we tuck him in, isn't that just enough of a... I walk over. Is there... I have a thought, and it's been brewing in my mind, but I'm not going to kind of mention why I'm doing this, but I'm going to try to, since Truth is unconscious, discreetly take a glassful of his blood and set it up behind the bar, and then try to pick up Dusk.
So when you say discreetly, are you trying to do this without your fellow Nobilis noticing?
Oh, they can notice.
Okay.
I am just trying to be discreet from Truth.
He's unconscious.
Who is unconscious?
Who is unconscious, so he's not going to notice.
So yeah, you have Truth on his back, shirtless, on the table, gaping hole in his chest. Dusk in the seat, sort of sprawled, snoring lightly. At that table, blood stashed behind the bar.
I try to pick up Dusk.
It is weird because
Eyebrows.
you get the sensation of holding weight, but it is not a specific amount. So, like, your muscles don't know how much to actually, like, apply force. It's kind of an unusual sensation, but you are able to do it. Is he headed for one of the rooms upstairs?
Yes. I'm going to tuck him in.
Aww.
Truly underscores the weird nature of this job that we are tucking our boss in.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind the rest of the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Usually saying that your work dynamic is like a family atmosphere is a red flag, but in this case...
it's about the only thing that's not
There
red
are other red
right
flags?
Now,
yeah, there are many other red flags.
Yeah, that's maybe the least of them. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
there are many things that are red.
Mm-hmm. And then
So,
while I'm tucking him in, I'll probably grab an extra... while I'm tucking him in, I grab an extra blanket
Mhm.
and bring
So-
it back downstairs with me.
You get Dusk tucked into one of the vacant rooms upstairs, and you bring another blanket down, presumably for Truth,
Mm-hmm.
and, well, tuck him out, I guess.
And a pillow, too, since he's on the table, right?
He is on the table, yeah.
I don't...
Probably something to clean the table or, anything other than
Yeah.
Truth himself up.
Well, to be fair, these tables have basically never been used.
So what I'm hearing is just burn it down and bring a new one, eventually. The table, that is.
Like, should I
I
try
suppose.
moving Truth?
That's up to you.
Do you think I should put him in a room, too?
how delicate is his condition?
I don't know. I don't remember this part.
Yeah, mostly I remember it fucking hurt when we woke up.
Yeah, I'm hoping the miracle will help with that, and also with any discomfort that may come from moving him. And I put forth the very transparent effort not to look slightly unsettled and pale and unsteady on my feet.
Well, I suppose if Dusk were as incapacitated then as he is now, then you weren't moved and you were okay.
Okay is strong.
Sure, true, relative, everything is.
It was also a field and bore, which seemed, I don't know, everything here probably has the same amount of, because it's all nothing, might not be as comfortable. I don't know how this works. The table seems like a hard surface compared to grass.
No, sure, a bed of nothing is more comfortable than a table of nothing. A pound of feathers is a lot of feathers.
Yeah, sure.
That is the best possible response to that, Rob.
So I should move him then. At least the gesture maybe might make him feel better.
All right.
I don't think that there's anything that will make him feel less awkward.
No,
So,
that will come with time, I hope,
hopefully.
if we have it.
he seemed just the most guilty about how his aspect, how his nature is wielded.
That's not his.
He is the least murderous person I have possibly ever encountered, at least while able to discern a person's murderousness inherently. But he's certainly been the cause of and the tool of, or the impetus for murders at a great many points.
Yeah.
At this point,
So,
Truth's eyes snap open and he goes,
oh, so he probably sees me standing awkwardly over him with a blanket and...
And he goes, right, no, it doesn't hurt. Oh, that's really nice. He sort of feels at his chest, and while you've been, kind of talking, indeed, he still does have the blood and the, like, mess, but he doesn't have a hole there anymore. And he starts to sort of slowly sit up. Regardless of not feeling any particular pain from it, he is still a little weak and a little exhausted.
We were debating on, putting you in a room so it would be more comfortable, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This world tells us time and time again that we are no more than our utility, but today and every day you are enough. It occurs to me that you've only introduced yourself as Truth. Is there something else you'd rather go by?
His eyes go a little bit unfocused, and he eventually says, I don't know. Hang on. And he sort of looks more directly at you, like the group of you. And then he focuses on Lissa and he goes, "You're 6 inches tall." And then breaks out into a grin. And he looks over at Ramnet and he says, You've got blue eyes. And the grin widens. And then he looks at Leorian and kind of gets a little bit of a puzzled kind of look on his face. And then instead of saying anything in particular, goes, "The sky is made of rock. Oh, this is nice. I could use a nap, though."
you've just been her weapon all this time, haven't you?
He sort of refocuses on Ramnet and he says, "A lot of the time. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to." He sort of cocks his head and he says, "All us Nobilis are weapons to a greater or lesser extent. I was just a dangerous enough one that I was kept on a short leash. I'm glad to have a little more latitude now." And he looks around and seems to realize that Daska's not in the room. He goes, Did something happen?"
He
fell asleep.
He's fine. I tucked him in. I was getting ready to do the same for you, but you woke up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad he seems to be all right. Truth sort of looks around a little bit hazily, and he addresses Vruta, where Vruta is, sort of sitting at the table. He seems now to particularly be drawing in the notebook, and he says to Vruta, he says, "I suppose we're brethren now as well. And Ruta sort of looks up and says, "Oh, yeah, I suppose that's true." And Truth says, "Well, for now you can call me Truth." Ruta inclines his head and says, "Ruta?" And Truth says, "I feel like you've been looking for me." And Vruta cracks up laughing. Can't quite get control of himself.
Be thinking on that name, Truth. It could stay as it is. It could be whatever you would like.
He sort of nods and seems a little distracted. He says, I don't think I'm going to be much use to anybody for at least a little while I sort of recover and acclimate."
Recombobulate, yes.
But you know, things are moving quickly at this point. If you want me to, I probably have enough in me to conduct you, or at least instruct you on the entrance to Tintern. I mean, you probably have to go there eventually anyway, right? Invitation or no. It's where most of
We were hoping to go
Celiand
there
is.
when her will was not there.
He nods slowly. He says, "That would probably be a good idea, but I couldn't have told you when that was reliably while I was..." And he sort of shrugs a shoulder. "It is a stratagem or a guessing game."
Now that you're part of our family, first I invite you to think of yourself as a company instead of saying that you're not much use to us. I was not great company myself after going through what you've gone through. In fact, you're probably recovering with significantly more grace than I did. In terms of our intent here, I guess I can bring you up to speed. And I tell him everything that we were discussing in the previous episode.
Mm-hmm. Sure. This probably amounts to a group effort, Fruta included, but if there's anything that either of our other players would like to take the opportunity to do separately, this is a really good time to let me know. If nothing in particular.
I think the one thing I definitely do is inquire as to what Vruta has been so furiously scribbling.
He will, with energy, if not effusion, tell you, well, I mean, the interaction of Familiae Caelestis, and the process of a divine red tooth rite. These are things that have, as far as I know, not been recorded before. I don't know if this will ever be a book that gets circulated exactly, but, well, there's been a lot to learn here now that I'm not needed as the font of information. Exactly. So I've been trying to document the process of becoming a nobilis and the nature of imperators, and then documenting interactions between nobilis of different familiae and, well, he gestures to the common room in general, these proceedings as well. The nature of poor is actually still a little bit hazy to me, so I've been trying to document details there as well. It's clear that the natural laws don't really apply the same way, and he sort of peters to a stop.
Well,
it may be worth remembering that you are familia, as well as an observer and documenter of supernatural phenomena, as it were.
From here on out, you are a supernatural phenomenon. And whatever you write should be narrated in the first person.
If you document me, make sure you get my good side, which is an easy task because it's all sides.
They're all good sides, let's say yes.
Vruta looks at you with an intensity that is different from the way you are used to receiving intense gazes. And, then says, "Yes, you present a remarkably consistent picture."
That snickering is in character.
Well,
I don't think I've ever been told that so eloquently before.
He jots something or other down and says, "Well, it certainly needs to be noted." Truth looks a little nonplussed, but not in any way upset by the somewhat jocular turn of the conversation. But the next sort of lull that he gets in the explanation and whatnot, he will sort of note, we will need to decide what we're doing about, all of this. I mean,
yeah. How much of Lys's explanation was news to you?
He chuckles a little bit early and he says, "I have access to any true thing, at least in theory, but, most of it was either specific confirmation of a general suspicion, or it was entirely new information. I had heard of the book, though."
So this is outside the scope of your exposure to information while working for her?
There's inference in some places, but my divinations of truth were usually pretty specific and didn't have much to do with this sort of thing. It's possible, of course, that she did some things using the estate firsthand before she brought me on.
So, I guess the main question is to attend this revelry or not, considering that it's another one of her traps, almost certainly.
Obvious trap is obvious, but it also leaves us without good alternatives.
Mm-hmm. That's becoming a bit of a pattern, and it's worked out so far.
Truth sort of says, I haven't really been allowed in the main part of the chancel. I've pretty much only seen the heart, which maybe I could get you to, but I couldn't guarantee it. It is likely, yes, to be a trap, but it is also likely to be difficult to get in on your own. So if you need to go, and I think you do...
Who else did she have as Nobilis?
Well, at least as far as I have been allowed to know, it's currently me and Adeliova.
So she operates a very small set of agents.
He sort of shrugs non-committally and says,
that, or else she silos you all extremely thoroughly.
Right, no, that could be the case, especially if she had a Nobila who stayed in the chancel for the most part, which I've sometimes wondered about, but I don't have a lot of evidence for. In any case, I surviving known Nobilis of Celiand are me and Adeliova for my part. And he sort of gives a nod.
Thank you.
I think Adeliova might be as conflicted about her role as you were. I know she was part of the way of controlling you, perhaps, but do you feel the same about her?
He looks distinctly uncomfortable. He says, Adeliova has been my friend. That she also had demands on her from Celiand, I don't begrudge. I know she's got a mind of her own. I don't know where it will have landed during all of this.
I ask because she did me something of a favor, and if it is within my power, I would like to protect her as well.
Truth nods somberly and says, if it's possible, I'd like that too. And he sighs. Well, if you're not heading to Tintern right now, I should probably recuperate some. If you'd like to head to Tintern right now, we should do it before I start dragging more.
I think we should possibly wait until you recuperate some.
He nods.
I will look to the others for thoughts.
That would be my preference as well. You deserve the right to rest.
And, as you say, we probably have to go eventually. When we do, we may as well go in force.
He nods, then sort of stretches a little bit and winces as he does. I'll
say as well, as the Jarl of Revelry, one should be fashionably late.
Truth does not chuckle in the same way that I just did. He just sort of regards you a little bit quizzically and then shakes his head and sort of looks at the stairs and goes, right, well, in that case, I'll rest. He sort of shuffles his feet a little bit and says, thank you for everything. And starts heading up the stairs.
Welcome to the family.
He gives you as natural a smile as he seems to be capable of in this moment.
If you need anything, ask. Have direct contact to all of us now.
He nods and murmurs a thank you, and then you hear him heading at the top of his stairs to his room, including the faint woof as he falls onto the bed.
I pick up the platinum again. Mm-hmm. Was there a forge and bore?
You haven't seen one yet.
See, I used all of my relevant points to make sure our friend Truth felt no pain, which was worthwhile, but I am left with but one, which I can't do a whole lot with.
Indeed.
Where did, can we call, oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name. Barkeep.
Urian? He was sent to the back room so that he would...
Can we call him back?
Yeah, sure.
I call Urian back.
Yeah. He comes bustling out as though perhaps he was very close to the door and then took 3 steps away before coming back in to make it seem plausible. And he comes back out. He's got a small cask of cider under one arm. He says, "How can I be of help?"
Is there a forge in Boar?
He looks a little bit crestfallen. He goes, "I gotta admit, I haven't really spent a lot of time outside of this building."
Also, don't clean the dish that I stashed underneath the bar.
He looks a little confused and then glances and goes, "Oh, no problem.
If anything, keep it in the fridge.
No
that exists in this world.
Guys, yes.
If anything, keep it in the. If they would, I forget what it was called. Like those little, like, do we have one of those cooling chambers that's near the springs to keep the temperature down underground?
Honestly, given that we are in the domain of nothing, it could just be a box suspended in void.
True.
However, the cellar of an inn is unlikely to have such a construction. He sort of catches the gist of what you're saying and goes, I can keep it in the root cellar.
That'll work. Pinch.
He bobs his head and carries it at arm's length down, like out of the room.
I am going to do it. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but a greater divination of fury, asking for the specific furious signature of the furnace within Boar.
If there are any furnaces inside Boar, then they do not share the specific furious resonance of terrestrial prosaic furnaces, which kind of makes sense given Boar's nature. But it would also make a fair bit of sense for there not to be any without you having created one.
And I would have to create one using realm miracle points.
Or mundane means, yeah. Build one by hand.
I've got some realm miracle points, and it doesn't have to be related to the domain directly.
Correct.
How many we talking here?
Well, in this case, probably a lesser creation of a forge to make one.
Sure.
That is, in all other ways, mundane. Should be a level 4 miracle, which for Leorian would cost 4 realm miracle points.
That's not tapping you out, right?
No, not tapping me out. I'm actually in pretty good shape, so I think.
Okay, thank you.
By no means tapped, not quite capped either, but no, this is a worthy cause. This is the kind of miracle that Lissa taught me is the most important, which is a petty miracle. The initial, not that a forge is a petty thing, but it will be put to a gloriously petty use. So yes, I definitely spend the 4 realm miracle points to have a fine forge here in Boar, even if it is slightly in nothing in its nature.
I quickly request that you put it right next to the inn, so my sister, of course, can hear the sonorous tones of me hammering.
I pass this along to the powers that be.
And
I want my next Nobilis to be the Nobilis of Spite.
Oof, an ever-burning, inexhaustible fuel, that
is a good one.
I would support that almost as, if not more nicely than I support murder.
In short order, there is a functional forge and furnace next to the inn, far enough away that it doesn't immediately pose a fire hazard, but close enough that it will be distinctly audible.
So I'm going to put my blacksmith skill to use, and I'll give word of what I'm doing before actually going out there, because I don't want my familia thinking I'm about ready to go and wantonly destroy her invitation. So my intention is to make out of the platinum a dip pen with essentially it's a fountain tip or quill nib. Have a bit of a capillary system inside to kind of draw up whatever is used as the ink into it as a writing utensil. And I figure this is something easily enough because I can just kind of roll the invitation as it is and try to preserve the text on it, and then use one of the margins to pull out into the nib itself.
You end up having to add a little bit of metal
question mark
to the structure of the tip, but fortunately the furnace came furnished with a couple of sort of mundane ingots, just because that was what was included in Leorian's imagination of the thing. So go ahead and roll 2 plus a master die for knowledge plus student blacksmith.
I also roll that I make my delight very showy, just for Leorian's sake, since I know he did the miracle for me. So when I discover those ingots, it's with appropriate and excitement. That would be 2 6s.
2 6s.
Nice.
The third, the other one that was organically rolled was a 5, so I was so close.
Tragic.
My smile lights up as though it were a third 6.
So you spend a couple of hours to several hours trying to work this. It heats up quickly, but it's fine work. It's relatively small scale with detail oriented sort of tool use and execution. So you take your time on it and you try to do it right. But at the end of it, you do have an invitation with the writing around the outside, sort of the body of the pen, and sort of a veneer of its platinum from the margins bowled down into the nib, with a sort of substrate for that, and a bit of a reservoir below, made in an alloy that is, let's say, a particularly useful for these purposes sort of ratio of bronze.
I also commune with the tutelary spirits of the platinum and list out the ways that this is fulfilling their desire of being useful and having to need to be changed every once in a while. And it's a lot more of a practical thing. I make it as pretty as possible too, thinking back on what Tohil said. And do any furious miracles that I might need.
And at the end of the process, you have a sort of practically functional dip pen with some ornamental flourishes that you're relatively proud of, especially given just sort of the tools and time frame that you're working in here. And again, the sort of character and psychology of these tutelary spirits of the platinum is pretty sort of a pretty blunt kind of instrument is the wrong word. It's pretty blunt surface, I guess, is the way I'm thinking about it. But they do seem excited in sort of the exact borderline of the emotional sense of excitement and the more sort of like zoological sense of the term.
Right. I present it to Leorian first.
That's incredible. I don't know anything about what you just did or what you've produced, but I know when something is going to make an impact, and this will.
I'm glad you think so. Thanks for the forge.
Of course. Leaving you without a forge would be unconscionable. How did we do it this long, in fact? Impossible.
What have our other players been getting up to while Lissa was working? Anything in particular?
I've been bothering Vrita to see if anything he's been writing should be set to music.
He doesn't seem to think so, but he does seem pretty excited to show you some of what he's been doing and to explain what it is that he continues to do as he jots it down. He is much better in fiction at writing and speaking at the same time than I am in real life. So he manages to sort of carry on as much conversation as you're interested in having, while he also continues to draft his treatise.
He may or may not notice that anything that's any two adjacent lines he says that scan or rhyme, I repeat under my breath.
Probably doesn't notice most of them. Ramna, anything in particular you're spending the time doing?
I check in on Croesus.
Let's see. This is going to be... When you check in on Croesus, it is late afternoon, not too long before dinner, and he is asleep on a sofa in his chambers, seemingly designed for this purpose. It is an odd experience because he is asleep, but you are borrowing his senses during this, and you are not asleep. So you are unable to visit his dreams, but it is not unlike being buried alive.
Yeah, I backed the hell out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems otherwise as well as a man his age is likely to be.
Yep. Especially since he was, at least briefly, possibly removed from my list of anchors, since I was down to one, and I was not going to unanchor my brother, whom I will check in on next.
Yeah. When you check in on Osar, he takes it in decently in stride. He is seeing to the troops' correspondence when you pop in, and he finishes the sentence he's on before carefully sort of blotting the ink on the sentence he just finished and stowing his quill pen. And then he sort of looks directly ahead of him, although there is no particularly reflective surface available, and sort of folds his hands, and he says, Ramnat.
Hi.
Good of you to drop by.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I don't know that there's really a way to not make timing inconvenient.
I shouldn't worry about it too much if I were you. It seems the nature of our situation. In what way may I be of service to you, brother?
I was simply checking in, as it had been a bit. How are you doing?
'Tis appreciated. Carrying on largely as before, I suppose. As long as all is generally well, we are attending to the business of a traveling troupe, really, and I am attempting as I am able to act in accordance with circumstances as you presented them to me last time we spoke. It's good that you are well. I assume that if I'm speaking to you, you are well?
Yes. I have recently acquired another estate, and our boss has recently added truth to our ranks as well as flair.
Goodness. Well, his brow sort of knits together as you speak, and he considers the importance. He says, all rather heady, is it not?
Things are definitely coming to a head. It is unclear on quite the time frame, but
yes,
we may be approaching some manner of endgame.
Well, I shall try to see to it that we usher in these remarkable times suitably remarkably, but, Feels strange to know of such things would be on their periphery.
I can only imagine, and I'm sorry that is likely more a worry than it is a balm.
He makes sort of a non-committal gesture with his head and shoulders and says, I suppose that in some ways we are both merely playthings for higher forces, but, well, it is good to hear from you at any rate.
Indeed. Well, take care. I will not continue to take up your time.
I appreciate your consideration, but do drop in again before too long. It is nicer to speak with you more frequently than less.
Agreed. Then I back out of his head.
All right. So yeah, after Lissa finishes the pen and displays it to Romnech, you will notice, Lissa, that Vruta is staring at this pen hungrily.
I will be appropriately complimentary about the pen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Vruta follows...
make a comment or two about the sharpness of the point and its utility in that regard.
Vruta, seeming to catch nothing particularly sinister about this, sort of wets his lips and says, "It's a marvelous piece of work.
Would you like to test it?"
Oh, well, if you are offering, certainly." And he quickly sort of casts about his person and produces a small pot of ink from a worn pouch, as well as a cloth with which to wipe it, and sits there attentive, looking for all the world like a student waiting for the test to be passed out.
I hand him the pen.
He takes it somewhat reverentially and sort of face screwing up in concentration, dips it, holds it there for a moment, sort of lets the excess drip off and sort of skims it off using the lip of the inkwell, dabs the handle lightly with the cloth, and then turning to his notebook, begins to write, making small sounds of appreciation about the process that are no louder than the scratching noises of the pen moving smoothly across the pages. And when he has finished the space that he has sort of the book open to, he replaces the pen on the cloth and sort of blots the ink dry on the page. And as he's doing this, his expression turns alarmed and his complexion goes pale. He pushes the notebook away from him on the table a little bit and sits back in his chair.
What is it?
Are you all right?
That's not what I wrote.
What does it say versus what you intended to write?
He goes, I was trying to continue my speculations on the nature of imperial power and the nature of imperial bodies, and, well, it seems that we have some communique from Lady Celiand.
And
he turns the notebook to face you so that you can read it. Not all of the text is that he's just written is anything other than what he intended to write, but the last part of it is a brief statement. It says, time slips away, and the appointed hour comes and goes and comes again. You leave me waiting.
Well, I have more appropriate ink to use if you wish to write a response.
He shakes his head somewhat vehemently. I think I may be done writing for the day. Thank you for letting me use your pen. It is quite lovely. And he swallows.
I think you made a really beautiful cursed pen.
Yeah, I suspect that whatever I would have crafted from this would have had a mind of its own.
Vruta casts a sidelong glance at the pen and begins to pack up his writing supplies, looking concerned and saying nothing.
Hey, Adam, there's no murder on that pen, is there?
Nope, no murder.
Cool.
What does it look
Just
like through
checking.
the site now that a miracle has been enacted on it?
There is no evidence of a miracle having been enacted on it. That doesn't mean one wasn't. It just means the evidence was deliberately destroyed.
Could there be a reason that she's so insistent that we show up at once? I mean, the party goes on eternally.
It's a tarp.
Vruta, for his part, says, no, it does appear to be a relatively transparent attempt to rile us to action. The question is whether she expects us to respond by taking the bait or by treating it as bait, or if she intends it as a distraction.
It's very much one of those one level deeper than you games.
Well, all right. If it's a trap, that's plain enough. She wants us to show up to the party, and then she attempts to do something horrible, and etc. But if it's a distraction, what is she trying to distract us from?
There are only so many gods left. We need to kill her. She needs to kill Dusk.
She's tired of waiting.
Vruta chimes in. Or it seems perhaps puerile, but it's not impossible that it's, well, basic misdirection. By seeming to want us to show up, she discourages us from showing up.
Well,
I mean, it functions. It's a move that plays well no matter how we interpret it.
That's Vruta.
Well, the real question is, do we have another option?
I'd like to write back, I think.
What is it that you write?
Well, first,
Vruta does not protest the taking of his notebook for this.
I will go and retrieve Truth's blood.
Okay. It's easy enough to find. Urian seems to have put it on the first level surface he came to in the root cellar.
I do have paper, so we need not sully Vruta's notebook.
I support that. I look to Leorian and Ramnet for input with a querying look. But what I would like to write is that we need rest before we can indulge in such extravagant revelry.
The appointed hour returns and returns and returns and returns, and therefore any time is appropriate to arrive at the party.
I like that more. You're always more eloquent than I am. How many times have I said that today? I feel like that's just like the word of the hour.
He's definitely more threatening, which is great.
I pass Ramnet the pen and the makeshift inkwell.
And I will write this.
Okay. You pen it in Truth's blood on the page using the pen made from Celian's invitation. And after a portentous pause, nothing in particular happens.
It's much less ominous than other pens I've handled in others of your games, Adam.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, the message will or won't have gone.
Makes little difference.
I fear that Sealand may yet have ambitions on Vruta as a prophet.
Vruta looks distinctly uncomfortable with this.
Do you want to try writing this phrase for Ruta and see if it makes a difference?
Vruta chooses his words carefully and says, "If it is all the same to you, I would rather avoid any such interactions with Lady Sealand for as long as I can get away with it."
I pray to Adiliova.
Interesting. What is it that you say to Adiliova?
Just a very brief message to the Lady of Beauty, whose true face, I'm sure, is even more beautiful. The invitation and path to look as you please is open to you if you choose it. And then end the prayer.
Okay.
She can reach back if she wants, but...
Sure. You end the prayer and are sort of turning to resume your attention toward the common room when you receive a response in kind, being prayed to as the Nobilis of madness in particular. You hear Adliova's voice, and she says, "You are very kind, but what holds more beauty than a storm?" And that's where we'll end our session. So, thanks for joining us. I hope our players and our listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, and that you'll all join us again next time. If you're hearing us now, then you probably know where to listen to this, but we can be found almost any place one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com and on Twitter as @dicepunks. With that, I think we're ready to say farewell. Say goodbye to the kind folks at home, players.
Thanks for listening, and hey, we have a growing family. I have nothing smart to say about it. I'm just pretty excited.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Beauty may be in the eye of the beholder, but truth tends to cut to the heart of the matter.
Thanks for listening, folks, and be sure what you say when you write in truth.
And as the poet once said, "I don't need an agenda, I just tell the truth, let it off the leash and don't touch it. It knows what to do." Thank you for tuning in, dear listeners, and stick around through the admin stuff for a Romnet murder. The songs in this episode, Theme of the Dice Punks in its acoustic version, were written and recorded by the Viscount of Tempo and his element, Drew. Editing and cover art were done by Joanne, who has appeared on the podcast now and again. Check out her work around the internet, where she goes by Anything So's. Site design and graphics for dicepunk.com are by Robin, the player behind Lissa and Mavia, the Nobilis of Fury and Madness. Rain and the one-roll engine it runs on were created by Greg Stolze, and you can find his stuff at gregstolze.com. Nobilis was created by Jenna Caterin Moran, and can be found at afarandsunlessland.wordpress.com with some other stuff from her. Links to both those systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, that's reward enough on its own, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks, where we have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks after show for episodes 1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
So, the thing about murder. Well, no, the thing about darkness. They aren't always true to themselves. They are many and varied things, at least in their interaction. Darkness conceals, but is also one of the first places searched. And so it undermines attempts to murder there. And murder is often carried out in darkness, but, again, the act of it brings light there, and so it is mutually undermining. So it's best generally to arrange yourself and to array your forces with an awareness of where the fault lines are. And if you can find the fault lines of your enemies, then that is the time to strike, and the place.